Welcome back! We've been sent to our house to check up on our dad and give him our mom's timesheet. And while we're here, I'm gonna have a look around. Because I want to know more about what our family is like here in this alternate timeline, what's going on. Looks like we got the 4 recycle bins out here. We got another one of these squawk boxes.
What's the problem, citizen?
Everything's perfectly alright now. We're fine. We're all fine now, thank you. How are you?
That is the best reference ever. Loved it. What happened to our door? Whoa!
Attention, citizens! This domicile is in violation of Civic Ordinance CZ-36 and has been placed in protective quarantine until corrective measures can be taken. Please back away from the house and have a nice day.
What the hell?
Don't violate the perimeter, son.
Good morning, Mrs. Brown.
This time period is crazy. We can't even go into our own house.
Brown. I'm sorry, Mrs. Citizen
We still have the
Brown.
bug light.
It's just a thing. I work.
Effective against moths, mosquitoes, and tannins.
Maybe we can lure Edna out here and do the same to her. Okay, maybe not. Let's talk to her dad.
I saw Mom downtown. She told me to give this to you.
Thanks.
Say, what gives around here?
You know, the usual. Keeping tabs on Hill Valley through my trusty bank of monitors. Always on the lookout for some interesting footage.
So you're part of this corrupt system.
Interesting. What do you mean, interesting?
What kind of silly question is that? I've been gathering candid documentary footage for Citizen Brown's promotional videos for over a year now. I know your mother doesn't approve of my work, but wait a minute. You say you saw Lorraine? 11 to 12 hair salon, 12 to 12:20 lunch at soup mo counter, cream of asparagus with crackers.
What was that?
You know your mother's problems. If she slips up again, it could mean demerits for the whole family. There she is, polishing the statue in the park. Just like the schedule dictates. Oh, then everything's fine. Good. Unless... How was she when you spoke to her? Lucid? Sober?
Somehow I don't think being a control freak is gonna help with this. But it seems like, based on the hint that our mom was giving us while we were out there, and what our dad is saying, looks like our mom might be into drinking again.
Whoa, Dad, what are you telling me? Are you saying Mom's a drunk?
Shh. I don't know for sure that your mother has relapsed into her old ways, but she's been acting very odd lately, almost as if she didn't like my constant supervision. Confidentially, I suspect she's got a flask hidden somewhere, probably very near the spot where she's working right now. Do me a favor, son, will you? See if you can worm the truth out of her. She won't confide in me, but she may be less guarded with you. Double rations this week if you help your old man out. What do you say? That's a good boy.
Okay, Dad, we need to talk.
Yeah, this is just unacceptable. I'm not going to try to get my own mom in trouble and do your dirty work for you. We got a lot of things we can talk to him about.
It's about Mom. How'd she get to be such a mess? This isn't how she is in my perfect world.
You're right, it's a real puzzle. Because of course we both know Hill Valley is a perfect world, but for some peculiar reason, the harder I try to get her to conform to the rules, the more she slips up.
Wow, I wonder why.
She's thinking about signing up for the Citizen Plus program.
Is she now?
You're not gonna let her go through with it, are you?
Well, from what I hear, it's a fairly drastic procedure which completely reshapes the subject's personality. On the other hand, if Citizen Brown recommends it, it's gotta be a good thing.
Yeah, because that is definitely the pinnacle of critical thinking.
Don't you think Mom would be a little more relaxed if you gave her just a little bit of space?
Now, there's a fine suggestion. What would Hill Valley be like if people gave each other space? Why, we'd all be tempted to follow our own impulses, and there's no telling where that might lead.
True, but at least if we made the right choices, we'd be making them on our own terms.
Something on your mind?
What were you hiding when I came in just now?
Hiding? I don't know what you're talking about, son.
Come on, I saw it. It was a videotape, right?
Yeah.
I might as well tell you. After all, you'll be 18 soon.
Tell me what?
Hill Valley under Citizen Brown is not quite the contented town you were led to believe it was.
Dun dun dun! I don't believe it!
I don't believe it.
This isn't a criticism of the great man himself, of course, or his sainted wife, Edna. No one's worked harder than they to apply the most advanced social planning techniques to our municipality. But,
What?
confidentially, not everybody appreciates it. A great many citizens, perhaps even the majority, actively resent the Brown administration. They don't say so publicly, of course. But in private, well, just listen.
I tell you, Bert, this regime is a joke. They're all laughing at us over in Fairfax.
A toast to Citizen Brown. May his beloved courthouse be struck by lightning. You're awful. Are you coming to the town square, Lester? Citizen Brown's about to give another speech.
Citizen Brown can kiss my Harry.
Well, you get the idea.
It sounds like people can't stand what the Browns have done to Hill Valley.
Not everyone. Only around 50%, maybe 60.
Does Citizen Brown know?
He should. Whenever I send copies of my raw footage to the Public Relations Department over at the courthouse, I get a memo telling me how much Citizen Brown thanks me for my service. But how could he see those videos and not do anything about it?
Maybe you should take your tapes directly to Brown.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, sure, he might appreciate my bringing these problems to his attention and reward me for my public service, but then again, they say it's never wise to be the bearer of bad news.
You're assuming that Citizen Brown is even seeing these tapes to begin with. Something tells me that they're not even getting to him. Also, if a lot of the city is resenting the Brown administration, that might be something we can keep in mind.
Why don't you give me those videotapes? I'll take them to Citizen Brown.
Thanks for offering, son, but I don't want to get you involved. Citizen Brown won't like what he sees on them, and I wouldn't want you to get the brunt of his displeasure, not to mention the displeasure of all the folks on the tapes. Once they find out I recorded them, no, I'm not letting these tapes out of my sight. It's too dangerous.
Well, I don't know. Doc seems like a reasonable guy. Unlike a certain someone else we know.
So about you and your, work.
Shoot.
You seem to be really into this spying business.
It's not spying, son. It's cinema verite. These candid moments of Hill Valley's residents will eventually be compiled and edited into the documentaries and promotional materials that advertise our way of life to the rest of the world. True, you can argue that I've taken things to extremes, but I still get up to take my meals and, of course, to use the facilities.
I wouldn't say that cinema verite is this extreme.
You're supposed to be... I mean, wouldn't you rather spend your time writing, say, science fiction novels?
Science fiction. I did mess around with it once.
Yeah.
But that was before Citizen Brown made it illegal.
What?
Science fiction's illegal?
Sci-fi promotes an unhealthy obsession with the fantastic and impossible, and it encourages the idea that there might be better societies than Hill Valley, which is subversive nonsense, of course.
Hill Valley just destroyed my favorite genre.
Okay, different subject.
Yeah?
It's about me.
I'm all ears.
Well, from certain things I've heard, I get the idea that people in this town regard Marty McFly as a
what?
a nerd.
They said that?
In so many words.
Just because a boy studies hard and gets straight A's and respects the rules and doesn't party or drink or stay out late and is perhaps a bit socially inept and obsessed with personal hygiene and prefers his rubber band collection
Stop!
to...
I really don't want to hear anymore.
I'm proud of you, son.
I'm trying to understand why Jennifer broke up with me in this time, recent past.
Are you still mooning over that girl? Forget her! She's bad news. Why, my surveillance cameras have caught her doing things that are completely against the Hill Valley Code.
I don't want to know.
Kissing boys. Sitting with boys in cars. I've kept quiet about it for her father's sake, but believe me, you're well rid of her.
I don't know about that.
Is there anywhere you expect me to be, like, right now?
Well, I did expect you to be up at the lake until tomorrow with that math-and-magic competition, so I guess your time is pretty much your own right now.
See, this is one thing that kind of bothers me about this, and this is kind of the case in a bit of the movies as well, is that Back to the Future is kind of a little bit willy-nilly about what disappears and what doesn't. For instance, when we got back here to 1986B, Doc was completely gone inside the DeLorean, but the DeLorean was still there, despite the fact that Doc would never have gone on to invent it in the first place. And now we discover that Marty still apparently exists in this time period, in this alternate 1986, as this nerd, and the game just kind of gives this convenient explanation that he's off at some math competition. So, I don't know, it just seems rather odd that we can be here, but maybe that just has to do with time travel, or how close we are to the time travel, or something like that. I don't know. There's various theories that have been posited online, and you can read them if you want. I won't really explain them here. It's kind of like in Back to the Future Part 2, when Marty comes back to 1985A and discovers that he was supposed to be off in Switzerland or something like that, and that Biff was his father, and that he would have grown up under Biff's authority, so to speak. Anyway.
Okay, different subject.
Yeah?
It's about someone we both know.
Yes?
Have you seen Biff lately?
Not since he went to the reconditioning center. Is he back among the living?
Depends on what you mean by living.
Yeah.
He's really different from the way I remember him.
Lucky dog. In a way, it isn't fair that Hill Valley's biggest scofflaw should be the first to receive the benefits of the new Citizens Plus program. But I know I shouldn't be jealous.
I don't think that's anything to be jealous about.
Have you ever spent time with Citizen Brown?
Well, of course I'm in the audience for every one of his public addresses.
One-on-one, I mean.
Oh, no. He'd never notice a common Sector L citizen like me. But I dream that someday he'll recognize me for my public service, and maybe let me shake his hand.
I think there are bigger things you should be dreaming about, like getting out of here.
What can you tell me about Edna?
Mrs. Citizen Brown? Oh, she's a wonderful woman. People just think of her as this sweet, self-effacing grandmotherly type.
Edna? Are we talking about the same?
But really, she's just as involved in running the town as her husband is.
Something tells me even more so.
David and Linda.
Have you heard from them?
No, I thought maybe you had.
Not in ages. As far as I know, he's still working for the big city newspaper, and she's still in that women's boarding house. I'll never understand why they decided to leave Hill Valley.
Well, good for them.
Something on your mind?
Hill Valley has a lot of rules.
It certainly does, for our own good.
Public kissing is illegal, right?
Ah, the old PDA law. Indeed it is. And what's more, violation carries a hefty load of demerits. But you know, it's a law people break with surprising regularity. Why, I could show you videotaped evidence.
How exactly do people get other people to break it?
On second thought, perhaps I shouldn't show you the videotaped evidence.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Besides, we've got our own thing that we want caught on camera anyway, right?
If I got caught with a contraband item, I'd get in a lot of trouble, right?
You certainly would. You could be facing up to 1,000 demerits, depending on the item. But of course, you wouldn't be caught dead with anything illegal. It's your mother I'm worried about.
That's interesting, because if we can find this flask that he's talking about, then maybe we can start using it ourselves. And we would be one step closer to getting demerits for contraband.
Did you ever harbor a dangerous animal?
Aha! Couldn't if I wanted to. They've all been banned. But I did catch something very interesting on one of my monitors yesterday. Which one was it? Oh, yes! Does that look like a stray dog to you?
Einstein!
Whatever it is, Edna's Animal Patrol will make short work of it.
Einstein! He's here in this timeline! It's kind of confusing, like, how Einstein jumps through time. I'm sure there's some explanation online for it, but I've lost track, to be honest.
Did you ever harbor a dangerous animal?
Oops.
Aha! Something on your mind?
What happened to our house? There's this big alarm that sounded when we walked up.
What's the deal with the house, Dad?
Don't know how to tell you this, son, but while you were away at your Mathemagic competition, our house got slapped with a CZ36 violation.
Oh no!
I know, it's so embarrassing. Your mother's mortified. She works so hard to keep a clean house, but those dust mites are so hard to keep down.
Wait a minute, we can't go into the house because of dust mites?
Well, not until they send in the cleanup crew.
This is ridiculous.
Thank goodness they let me move my office out here into the garage.
Dust mites? Seriously, how often would they have to slap a violation like that on the house just for that reason? I mean, seriously, that's just ridiculous.
So, when is this dust mite problem gonna be solved so I can get to all my stuff?
Well, the cleanup crew said they'd probably get around to it by tonight, but they're kind of backed up, so I wouldn't expect them until tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow? Where am I supposed to sleep?
I got it all covered, son. We're gonna camp out back just like we did when you were little.
Okay, this timeline is officially a nightmare.
Hopefully we can get out of here today, if possible.
How exactly does this setup work?
I'm glad to see you taking an interest. Each of these monitors is connected to multiple cameras, of which I've strategically jacked into throughout the valley, with official clearance, of course. I can switch between cameras with these buttons. There's also a VCR for each monitor. I keep a record of everything I see, so
Sorry about
if I
that
happen
phone.
across something intriguing, I can keep it on file.
I think that's all we have time for.
Well, I'll leave you to your snooping.
Supervising, son, supervising.
I'll leave you to it.
Right.
We'll continue in the next video.